Hello there, podcast people, and welcome to part 2 of our 2-part special on what ifs and wherefores. This episode, we talk about emotions and their impact on Star Wars. And I quizzed Charlie to find out what class of Jedi he is. Ooh. That and so much more, coming in a matter of only seconds. Please, sit back and enjoy. Yeah, so I guess that brings us nicely on to some questions that I have prepared for you, my good man. Some philosophical questions for you to chew on.
Excellent.
I will start with my very first one. So my first question is, it's kind of like an emotions roulette, you know.
Okay.
We're looking at...
Angry!
Yeah, and you lose. So like, I wanted to see like what are dark side emotions and what are light side emotions, you know, and why are they split in this way? And I was looking at what Yoda says when he says fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. And I was thinking, you know, what's wrong with these emotions particularly? You know, you're allowed to feel as long as you don't act on the emotions. And I'd say generally people don't. But you tell me about, you know, some of this stuff. What would you consider to be dark side emotions?
Well, this is an interesting question because it tends to be that feeling emotions in general seems to be associated with the dark side, because the dark side is often acting on your emotions without thinking.
Yeah.
Whereas the light side is often contemplating and keeping a almost neutral outlook on life. You know, things just exist and you go with the flow, as it were.
So basically what you're inferring there is that excitement and happiness are dark side emotions.
I mean, controversial opinion, but I guess I am saying that. And I feel like that's where the Jedi lost their way, of they kind of distanced themselves from emotions entirely, which I think is somewhat impossible. And that's why I think you can't be a true Jedi without rejecting all emotions, really.
But then I suppose the history of what we know of the Jedi is based around people fighting with their emotions. And also, you know, I'd probably say, you know, 9 times out of 10, those emotions have led to bad things. But there have been occasions where emotions have proved positive, you know, a positive impact for the whole universe. You know, when Luke was using anger and he basically defeated Vader. I mean, what is wrong with that?
Absolutely. I would pose the idea that there aren't light side emotions, there aren't dark side emotions. There are just emotions, and how you act on them, that is the dark side or the light side.
Yeah, so would you say that Luke acting on his emotion of anger and defeating Darth Vader, would you say that is not... Well, I mean, it's acting on it, that's what I'm saying. Like, so if he's acting on the dark side emotion, is that a bad thing?
So it's the thing of, in that moment when he was fighting Darth Vader, using his anger, that was very dark-sidey in its aspect. But the key turning point is when he defeats Vader and chooses not to kill him, and that is ultimately the light side redeeming moment of his character, of although he dipped his toes into the proverbial waters of the dark side, it was his active choice to choose the light side in that moment when he could have gone either way, and that's what makes the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely say so, but I'd probably argue that with a bit more dark side usage, he could have defeated the Emperor as well. But instead, he decides to throw his lightsaber away, stating, "I'm a Jedi, as was my father before me," and throws his lightsaber down and basically just gets tortured. I mean, how is that furthering anyone's gain? Pretty much there, he was deciding just to kill himself for no good reason. I mean, it seems like he could have used the emotions in a better way. And
well, I would argue it worked, didn't it?
Well, I mean, yeah, if you're looking, I mean, okay, fine, it worked, but what was the chance of that actually working realistically? He was going out on a limb here. That was very
it was pretty slim, but in that moment, he sort of realized he couldn't kill his father or wouldn't kill his father. And then I feel like it was just him accepting his fate in that moment. I feel like it wasn't about defeating the Emperor anymore. It was about not killing his father.
Yeah. No, I suppose. Yeah. No. It was that victory for him.
And I'm sure when he was being tortured, he was there.
Have I done this?
Man, I really wish I hadn't thrown my lightsaber away.
I did not think this through.
I'd already turned it off,
But yeah, I think, like you say, it's how they act on the emotions. And then if you look at Anakin and how his mum dies and he gets really emotional, really angry, and then slaughters like a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
That...
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. That's not funny.
I mean, that's acting on his emotions as well. But in a way which isn't very conducive of a Jedi. So what I'm saying is, if a Jedi uses anger to defeat a dark side user, is it better than using anger to just kill a bunch of people?
Well, if we think about it realistically, what the decision is, it's essentially how you are using your power. So these emotions give you power, and if you use that power to kill all these people, in spite of the fact that they killed your mum, you just kill all of them. I feel like that's definitely a very dark side decision.
Yeah.
Because it's rash, it's uncontrolled, it's not stopping to take a moment, it's acting purely in that moment on that one thing which you consider to be right.
Oh, yeah.
But then also, it's the idea of how the Jedi interpret this is, in this world, it would be that if you are acting on your emotions alone, that would be a dark side thing. And so it's kind of, it distances itself from what we would do in the real world, because that's not how we make real world actions.
Oh, definitely. It's not how we make decisions, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've liked the idea of looking at emotions definitely across all the films. I definitely think that the new trilogy looks at emotions in an interesting way as well.
Yeah.
I think Rey does show a lot of emotion and therefore taps into a lot of power. I think that I personally feel that using emotions is not a bad thing, but because of, I don't know, the viewpoint of how the emotions are used and what they're connected to, people associate it in such a way that they then sort of accept, oh, I'm dark side kind of now, I've used those powers, it must be that. But I feel like, people could easily tap into those powers with the right training, and then sort of like, so Jedi could use Sith lightning and it not have an effect.
Yeah. I think the main sin of both the Jedi and the Sith is summed up in the line when Anakin says to Obi-Wan, if you're not with me, then you're against me. And Obi-Wan says, only the Sith deal in absolutes.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, that's kind of wrong, because I feel like both the Jedi and the Sith deal in absolutes. And
that in itself is an absolute
downfall,
isn't it?
Of all of them. Yeah.
Only the Sith deal in absolute. That's an absolute.
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like in any other scenario that would be funny and ironic, but I feel like it wasn't meant to be funny in that situation. But it is ironic. It kind of highlights the blindness on both sides.
Oh, definitely. They were,
and I'm sure there's good people on both sides.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read into it at all about the idea of sort of grey Jedi or Jedi that basically tap into both sides of the Force, so to speak.
Most of what I know of it, I've learned from you, Spencer. So if it's wrong, it's your
Well,
fault.
there we go. Then you can blame me and, take me to court.
Yeah.
You know?
Take me to jail.
Throw away the key. No, they are...
I hear there's a great prison reform system on a planet near you.
Oh, dear. But yeah, they are... grey Jedi are just neutral kind of Jedi. They aren't actually... How to put it? They're not evil, so to speak, but they're not like actively, looking to be perfection in the good sense. So I actually feel they probably represent what would be considered the balance in the Force. I think at the end of the day, balance has got to come from within.
When I think of Grey Jedi, I know he's not a Jedi, but I imagine someone like Han Solo, where especially when he starts out, he's not necessarily a good guy, but he's not an outward bad guy anyway. He's somewhere in between.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's the kind of feeling I think that they have. It's basically just an average person Force user type thing, because we all have good and bad in us, don't we? So I think that's a more sort of, long-term, like where I think the Force should head. The idea of Jedi and Sith should just be gotten rid of, really. I mean, they'll still be there, but I think that it should be more kind of do as you want type thing, feel the Force, do what you need to do.
Yeah, that's kind of where I thought it was going to be going at the end of episode 9.
That's where I was hoping it was going to go.
Yeah, well.
Because they really made that effort to, The Last Jedi and all that, really, they wanted to end that kind of stuff. But obviously, J.J. Abrams brought out the defibrillator, and here we are.
And used it to kill it.
Turn it up to max and fried the bastards. Yeah, so, I think...
okay, it's stumbling a bit, but we'll get out the defibrillator and it's dead.
And it's dead, but we'll release it anyway.
But yeah, it was one of those things of it's so frustrating because that's so obviously where it was going. End of Episode 3, the dark side win. End of Episode 6, the light side win. Episode 9, balance. That's
what it had to
so
go for. But instead
obvious.
of balance, we just got, the Jedi win. Oh, yay.
Like you say, we even had it built up in The Last Jedi of Luke being like, the Jedi were terrible for this reason. And it's like, okay, you're saying that the Jedi were terrible. Clearly we need to do something else.
Yeah, exactly. It was setting it up for a sidestep away from both orders, and I think that would have been healthy. My ideal would have been, at the end of Episode 9, Kylo Ren and Rey they did kind of defeat, let's say, whoever the evil was. I don't know, Snoke or the Emperor. It's not really matter, but they end up joining forces together, and then they decide, all right, well, what do you want to do now? And they just go, well, let's just be whatever we want to be.
Make out.
Definitely not make out. And then they go ahead and sort of lead a kind of a newer thing where, you can tap into whatever emotions and not be limited by either side.
I kind of imagined it going that way as well. I had in my mind that Kylo Ren wasn't going to die, but he was going to have to be exiled in some way.
Well, like a Jon Snow style ending for him.
Yeah. But of course, him and Rey have this connection. So even though he's not there physically, they are together in the sense that she would go on to teach people and his presence would be felt through her.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, there we go. I mean, they didn't quite hit the mark there for that one, but
it's all about, you got to throw the dart, that's the whole thing. Whether you hit the board or not, it's all about throwing the dart.
Exactly. Full marks for turning up.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's kind of, we've gone through the emotions there and sort of discussed that bit. So now I'm going to go into a more kind of, it's still based around the Jedi. But the question I wanted to ask you, Charlie, is if Jedi are peaceful, why do they carry lightsabers? In fact, why do any of them need lightsabers? Is the Force not enough?
Ooh, that's a bold question.
Well, yeah, I mean, you do see that there are a lot of points where, the Force should be enough. But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
You answer the question.
I think the idea of the Jedi carrying lightsabers, that in itself kind of speaks to the I want to say corruption of the Jedi, but that's not quite the right word. The idea that the Jedi were diminishing already before the events of the prequel trilogy. So I imagine in my head canon, that once upon a time the Jedi were entirely peaceful and they didn't carry lightsabers and they didn't carry proto-sabers or anything.
Yeah.
It was just a pure idea of the Force will protect you and the Force will keep you safe, and the Force, through all things, the Force wills it, or whatever Chirrut said.
Yeah.
And then over time, that message has been lost, really, because people have begun to rely on weapons and stuff, and suddenly I imagine that things like blasters were invented, so they needed a way to defend themselves against the blasters. So the idea of it being able to stop blasters, that is almost like a peaceful thing. If you need a barrier between yourself and someone shooting you, so that's where they would come from. But then, of course, they also discovered that you can chop someone in half with it as well. And that's kind of where it moved from that to they are essentially fighters.
But in that, there are countless comics and even in the films when you see Yoda redirect lightning, he can actually do the same thing, but with a blaster. He can basically fire it back using the Force. So,
well, then they should have just worked harder on the Force.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying though. Surely using lightsabers detracts from studying the Force, which is their number one priority.
Well, alternatively, you could say they started using lightsabers because it's easier, and intrinsically, we are always looking for an easier way to do things.
So they got lazy.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Am I ruining the Jedi here?
The Jedi were ruined, they are what they are.
And that's why I like the end of The Last Jedi, because Luke projecting himself across the galaxy, that is the ultimate act of using the Force in a peaceful way, which is hats off to him. I'm not wearing a hat, but hats off.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. That is one aspect which I enjoyed. I didn't enjoy his death, but I enjoyed the idea of using the Force in a way which wasn't, like a Force push or lightning or whatever. There wasn't this it was purely used, like you say, in a peaceful manner, and he used it as a distraction.
Yeah, I mean, and this isn't your question, but I just wish we'd seen more of Luke. Oh well.
Yeah, same.
Especially considering he had died and suddenly he was a Force ghost. It's like, why wasn't he around all the time? Why was he only on Acto?
Yeah, exactly. Why wasn't he appearing in different places?
It's like we've got Mark Hamill, who we love. Why? Please use him more.
Yeah, exactly. Why was he
Especially considering you've killed off Han Solo.
Yeah,
Carrie Fisher can't be in the film much for obvious reasons.
Why didn't
use Mark Hamill?
Yeah, why? That's what I don't get. We could have had Leia. I mean, I'll be honest. Those scenes were. I'll be honest. For me, because I knew what they were slightly painful because they felt almost forced.
Yeah.
And it would have been nicer to have just had, standing next to her even, just the Force ghost of Luke, just chatting, adding some stuff in as well.
Yeah.
Him talking for her, being like, well, me and Leia feel like, you're doing pretty well, or whatever, Yeah, I think that would have been quite nice.
Yeah, I almost feel like you couldn't not have her in the film, but there was no way to put her in without it being somewhat awkward.
Yeah. Shame about that, but I mean, yeah, she did have to be in, and I did like the tribute to Carrie Fisher and all that, and it was quite nice, but yeah, it did feel a little bit weird.
But even in the film, there's the bit at the beginning when Rey is meditating and she's floating, and she's literally saying, "Be with me." And I was sat in the cinema thinking, okay, here's Luke. He's going to turn up and be like, you're doing this wrong. Do this differently.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, she was just
no
there.
Way, Jose.
Yeah, and I did like the idea that she was being trained by Leia, but also like, come on, Luke, get going.
Get your head in the game.
Yeah, get your head in the game.
Yeah, he needed to get in there. But yeah, definitely one of the aspects of the new trilogy was the lack of Luke. But apparently, and the reason J.J. Abrams did that, both in the 9th film and the 7th film, was because apparently having Luke in there too much would detract from the new amazing characters. So, yeah, thank goodness. I definitely feel like we could have detracted from them a nice amount.
It's called the Skywalker Saga, and I know Ben Solo is a Skywalker technically, but I feel like it's their story and you need to have them in. It annoys me because Luke died at the end of episode 8 and was barely in episode 9. It annoys me more now that he wasn't in episode 7.
Yeah.
Like, why did he have to be off missing in his own little place? I
don't know. Well, apparently in the first draft, they had him bumping into Rey within the first half hour of the film. And then he was obviously still fully trained Jedi, actually sort of in his prime type thing. And that was the first sort of draft. There was the whole, most of the film, they were together and it was kind of like an Obi-Wan meets kind of Luke Skywalker feel about it. But instead they decided, actually, no, it would detract heavily. Which I suppose if you were to watch the films in their actual, the order in which they were meant to be sort of created. So if you watched the prequels, got invested on that, and then watched episode 4, you'd probably say that Obi-Wan would detract from, from Luke. But I don't know. I think they shouldn't have thought too hard on that. I think we would have been happy to have Luke in the film more. We didn't need more. We did not need more breathing space for those characters.
Yeah, I kind of, in my own little version, I thought it would have been cool to essentially, like they did in Last Jedi, have him in almost astral projection form. And then in episode 8, you actually meet him IRL.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, because you could have had him kind of de-aged like he was in his projection form. And then suddenly you meet him for real and he looks really old and haggard. And it's
fat.
oh, what's happened to Luke?
Yeah, and drinking lots of blue milk, dribbling down his beard.
And smoking.
Whoa, this guy's lost it. He's
what happened?
God, he looks awful.
I don't know. Maybe that's a terrible idea. Maybe just having him pop up every now and then, being like, "Hello, I'm over here." I don't know.
Something like that.
Anyway. That's why I'm not a script writer.
I guess not. But yeah. So as to whether they actually need them, like we say,
that was the question.
It's probably clear that the Jedi didn't need lightsabers as such. I mean, the reasoning behind it is clear. I suppose they needed more numbers, and in order to train them up quicker, they needed a way of protecting themselves so that they wouldn't die before they were useful. But then that became a sort of a crutch almost, and they sort of disregarded the Force so much that eventually Palpatine snuck in and destroyed everything.
Yeah.
There you go.
A disaster years in the making and made by themselves.
Exactly. There we go.
And it all started when some nutter was like, I'm going to put a shiny crystal in this sword. Ooh, it glows now.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, I love it.
Little did he know. It's like the domino meme where it's someone flicking a tiny domino and then it's just a huge domino at the other end. Then the tiny domino could be making a shiny sword and the huge domino could be the fall of the Galactic Republic.
Yeah, it could be quite honestly. Yeah, that would be beautiful. Yeah. I think we need to make that meme.
Yeah. I mean, does it work out of context? We'll find out once we've made the meme.
But yeah, so I think that's pretty well answered in a philosophical manner.
Oh, thank you.
Which brings us on to my third and final question, or should I say a series or anthology of questions.
Ooh.
Indeed. It's based around, what Jedi are you now?
What Jedi am I?
Indeed. So yeah, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to ask, do you mean existing Jedi? But I'm guessing you're going to clarify now.
I'm going to clarify now. And when I ask this question, I don't mean what character are you? I mean literally, what type of Jedi would you be? Where would you lie in terms of the Jedi spectrum? So in order to give you a bit of an idea of where I'm going for this. I'm going to start you off with the first question. So the first question is, what would you have as a lightsaber? Would you have a double-bladed, a single-bladed, or a dual-wielded, so that's one in each hand, blade? So which one would you have?
Okay. Which one would I have? I think I would have to be boring and just go straight for one lightsaber wielded with two hands, optional one hand kind of thing. I feel like a double-ended lightsaber would be cool. Two lightsabers would be maybe a bit overkill. I feel like I like the simplicity of just having a simple lightsaber with just one blade.
It is quite nice. It's quite satisfying, isn't it? Just your standard Jedi, no messing around. Just keep it simple, almost like, basic samurai. You can sort of perform those moves, keep it very traditional.
Yeah. And like, as we've just had a conversation about, should Jedi even have lightsabers? I feel like, going overkill with your lightsaber is already pushing it.
It's already a sign.
You shouldn't have a sword, so have a simple sword.
Indeed. And as it has been quoted, a lightsaber is a Jedi tool and a Sith weapon. So, that's where you can draw the line. Perfect. Well, that brings me to the next question, which is, what color would your lightsaber be?
Ooh, I have to go green. I mean, I've always wanted a green lightsaber, and that's where I'm gonna stick with my guns and go green lightsaber.
Perfect. And now I come on to 4 questions which will help determine where you lie in the Jedi universe, what kind of Jedi you are. So I'm gonna knock it off with question 1. So these are all scenario based, and then we'll have multiple choice to be able to answer. So I'll start with question 1.
Cool.
So question 1 is, a woman and her small child are beset by a desperate-looking group of thugs. They are menacing her with weapons, and she screams for you to help. What do you do? Do you A, attack the thugs, B, stop the thugs and find out why they're attacking her, or C, help them flee?
I think I would... I'm going with my gut reaction. I think I would help them flee. That would be what I would do. Like, part of me was like, should I ask them why this conflict is in place? But no, in that moment, you don't have time to think, so you go with your gut, and I would help them escape.
Okay, absolutely. I've noted that down. Mm-hmm. Okay, so question 2. You are in combat with a dark Jedi allied with the Sith. There is a pause in the combat. What do you do? Do you A, attack him again? B, find out why he turned to the dark side and try to turn him? Or C, try to see a weakness in his technique?
I guess I would have to, in that situation, ask him why he's turned.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll note that one down. So then, question 3. There is a locked door and your goal lies on the other side. What do you do? A, smash the door down. B, knock. Or C, try to pick the lock.
Now, see, my gut reaction was to do a Qui-Gon and like put your lightsaber through the door.
Yeah.
I guess that comes under break it down. I'm going to have to say break down the door. I'm not proud of it, but that's my gut reaction.
Okie dokie, I will take that on board. And question 4, the last question. You are the head of a Jedi enclave on a contested world. The Dark Jedi infiltrated and are causing unrest across the planet. What do you do? A, hunt them down. B, coordinate with the planetary government to identify the infiltrators. Or C, try to lure them out into a trap. It's a tricky one.
Yeah. I feel like I would have to coordinate with the government and see what's going on. Like it was between that and outwardly go attack them, to be honest, because part of me feels like they are Jedi, so it's kind of the Jedi's responsibility to sort out their own. But I guess the more reasonable thing to do would be to ask the owner of the house before you trash it. That kind
exactly.
of thing.
I'd completely agree on that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that brings us to a close on those questions. So, I don't know whether you know this or not, but Jedi are classed in 3 groups, basically. I mean, this is aside from obviously being the tiered groupings of sort of novice, apprentice, knight and master. This is completely separate. So there are Jedi Guardians, there are Jedi Consulars, and there are Jedi Sentinels.
Okay.
So Jedi Guardians, they are, I'd say, more lightsaber first kind of Jedi. They're more sort of lightsaber combat ready. They're probably more focused on sort of battle more than anything else.
Yeah.
So that's the first class.
Okay.
A Jedi Consular is completely the other way. So they're really focused on the Force, how they use it. They'd probably be more kind of like healing. They'd be more using their minds based on knowledge. So like Jedi librarians, closer to that.
Yeah.
Very knowledgeable and wise. And then there is the Jedi Sentinel, which is a mixture of both, kind of like a fighting, pretty apt at fighting, but also can sort of read a situation quite well as well. But no way are they experienced on either end.
Okay.
So, with that explained...
The Goldilocks zone.
Indeed, yes, indeed. Or nearly, but I wouldn't say they're quite like that.
I mean, the Goldilocks if the third option was just worse in either aspect.
Yeah, they're kind of like the jack of all trades, I'd say, rather than the master of any. So yeah, that based on your answers to the question, I can confirm that you are indeed a Jedi Consular.
Ooh, I mean, I do enjoy reading, so when you said librarian, that caught my attention.
So you are really interested in the Force and its inner workings. You tend to think first before going into any situation. And you are very book smart. You have a lot of knowledge on the Force, a lot of knowledge on various planets, and you are very wise and respected.
Oh, excellent.
There you go.
Are you going to tell me what kind of cheese I am next?
That might be next. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, that pretty much gives you an idea of what kind of Jedi you'd be. You'd probably be more likened to a Qui-Gon than you would an Obi-Wan.
Oh.
A Yoda more than a Ki-Adi-Mundi. That's where you lie.
Yeah. Oh, nice. To be fair, all the best people have green lightsabers. No, that's not true, because Obi-Wan has a blue lightsaber. Well, Yoda has a green lightsaber. Luke has a green lightsaber, so...
Green's the way to go.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Green is good.
But there you go. So, there you go. Now you know what kind of Jedi you are.
And now, of course, I have to flip it around to you. How would you answer those questions?
Well, indeed. I'd probably... So, first thing I'd do... in question 1 with the woman.
Wait, you need to pick your lightsaber first.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. So my lightsaber would probably have to be a dual wield. I'd probably wield 2 lightsabers. Nice. The colors of those would have to be yellow and orange.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Pushing the boat
I know. If I have 2 lightsabers, I'm not going to do them the same color, am I?
Yellow and orange, huh? That kind of goes with a certain planet that
I have to say, you've had a huge influence on me. I will be moving to this planet with immediate effect. But yeah, so it'd be orange and yellow. Would I attack the thugs, stop the thugs? I reckon in that situation, I would dive in and attack the thugs. Okay, so that's where I'd lie. And then if I was in combat with a dark Jedi allied with the Sith, I'll be honest, like if my mission is to defeat him and crack on, I'd probably attack him again. I don't know. That's probably where I'd lie.
Just crack on with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get
mess
this
around?
over with. Yeah. No messing.
If there was a locked door, I'd probably try to pick the lock.
Oh, that's not like me who's reading books until it comes to doors when I'm just like, okay,
let's smash this down. Let's get it out of the way. And I'd probably, if I was the head of an enclave, I would probably lure them out into a trap, I reckon.
Okay.
And with all those questions
Sort them
answered,
out.
I would probably be a Jedi Sentinel.
Ooh, so what does a Jedi Sentinel, what are they like?
So they are seekers of Jedi artifacts. They are pretty much travelers. So they travel around all the different worlds, exploring different cultures, and basically being sort of world. What's the word? What word am I looking for? Kind of. They're kind of like symbols of the Jedi floating around the world. So that's what people would see.
They travel the world and the seven seas.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's looking for something.
Some of them want to use you. Anyway, So they are explorers at heart. So they'd be visiting old Jedi temples.
That sounds cool.
And going out and sort of like and basically I'd be the one that would find a temple, and you'd be the one that would come in and sort of do the archaeology aspect.
That's cool. Yeah. What a team we would make.
We would make a great team. We would make a great team.
Yeah. That would be fun.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it?
Man.
Wouldn't it just be entertaining?
Yeah, we could have a whole fan fiction going here of either our political struggles in the rebellion or our
adventures as Jedi.
Our Jedi ways.
Indeed. Either or.
Man, good fun. I love imagining things. Isn't imagination great?
I'd say this has been an incredible episode.
I've enjoyed myself.
Yeah,
thoroughly.
as have I. It's been cracking. I imagine based on the amount of time we've been recorded, this will now be. The other half of the episode. I imagine
definitely.
We'll split it into a couple of parts, but it's been
couple of episodes.
It's been rather entertaining, and keep a lookout. We're going to be releasing after these ones. We're going to release a Rogue One episode again. We're going to be back onto Rogue One, but for now, a couple of specials to keep you ticking over,
keep you going.
And we've really enjoyed it today. We hope you have too, and we look forward to releasing some more content soon.
Yes. Goodbye there. I think that's all that's left to say. Everything you said, and then goodbye there at the end.
Indeed. And with that in mind, I would say a strong and worthy a goodbye there.
A goodbye there.
Do 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 do. Oh wait, no, it's not that one. But we should use that one. Thanks for listening to the second part of our mini-series on Thoughts from Thinkers. We hope we've answered questions you didn't know you wanted answering. We really enjoyed this one, and we hope you did too. Join us next time as we dive back into Series 2 with the Rogue Ones, focusing on the ins and outs of the rebellion in the time the film was set. Look out for that, coming soon.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter and Reddit to keep up with information about our latest releases. On YouTube, you can find our LEGO Star Wars playthrough, in which we've just started Revenge of the Sith, so that's pretty cool. The How Uncivilized Podcast was created, produced and edited by Charlie Door Smasher Feasby and Spencer Lightsaber Overkill Lawrence.